Alright, we're working on the 1989 Chevrolet S10 Tahoe tune-up of the suspension tune-up, suspension. So, new shocks in there, looking good, and I did thread lock and put a lock washer on it and a lock nut on this. Part of the reason for that is I got my donut squished exactly how far I want it, and that's the position I want to retain, instead of just cranking it down. Example, see this here, the one that came out? That's not correct. It shouldn't look like that. I didn't put the shock on. I have no idea who did. So that's not right. So got the whole front done now. I haven't put the tires on yet. I will start it up and hit the brakes a few times and see if any leaks occur, which I hope not. I know I've got a lot of brake fluid here, but a lot spilled when I was doing the bleeding procedure. I left the cap loose and I kept filling it as I went. I used a hose on my, there it's capped now, on the bleeder screw going into the jug. I use that method, hose going into the jug. Pump it 10 times, refill the master cylinder, repeat the process 3 times. That usually works for me. But especially when you're working with a vehicle that has power brakes, even though you think you did everything correctly without the engine running, everything changes once you start the vehicle. And the main thing to remember before you move the vehicle is you do need to press on the brakes a few times before you even take it out of park. I was working at a shop one day and they had just got done doing brakes just like I'm doing right here. But then they, put the wheels on, set it down, but they had it on, a fancy lift. And, but it was the style you could drive the vehicle onto, and off. And for some reason the guy had it in drive, and he said he hit the brakes, and it went right over the front of the lift. So he was sitting there looking kind of silly. And he couldn't move the vehicle backwards at that point because he was stuck on the lift. So always be careful of that. The first time you step on the brakes, do it a few times before you put it in gear. And that's why I'm going to check it for leaks just like it is. That's enough for today. I'm not going to do any further testing now. I'm going to get up early, and you got some equipment to put away. The toolbar and the baler's got to be all cleaned out, and that's got to be put away. So I won't drift off too much on that. I did get the new tire for the front. The original got all scuffed up when the ball joint popped. So right now everything's looking good on the front. I still have these to install on the back. Heavy duty load levelers. That should make a big difference. It'll pick up the vehicle in the back except when it's loaded. So it'll sit up a little bit higher. I think it'll be a nice stance, as they call it. I think it's going to nail the stance. I like mine up a little higher in the back. Of course, that'll drift off when you're loaded. The shocks are rated at 1,200 pounds. The pickup truck's rated at 1,000. So when it's got a full load on it, 1,000 pounds, it should still sit nice and drive good. And that's the whole point. So you don't throw off your steering geometry. So this is John Rudy with Rudy Racing, signing off.